Opie got a bad rep, in my opinion, since the show fell apart. He gets so much hate from trolls on the net, while Anthony is beloved by everyone despite his terrible behavior. But that's not true. People rip Anthony apart. You might not be part of the communities that are ripping him apart, but Anthony gets a lot of shit. That Compound Media is so out of it. Again, I pointed out a week ago that the front page of their website, compoundmedia.com, says new lineup for 2022. You know, it's like the Rick's Race for the Cure. Hello, it's 2023 now. So the fact that there's not one talent, one person who's on a show there, a talent member. There's not an employee. There's not a web designer. Cumia himself. There's not a secretary, someone answering phones or emails that has noticed that the website has been out of date for a year. No one knows. And then I pointed out, and it will get mocked and clipped and everything, and they'll still not change it. E-Rock's too busy over in Steel Toe's chat room sucking them off and donating. You know, E-Rock, the guy who runs the shit over there, is in Steel Toe's thing signing up for his $250 drawing. He's buying entries. So that guy's, you know, don't be surprised when Steel Toe does get put on Cumia's network, because it's like they're asleep over there. They're asleep over there. I'm criticizing them both. And I have watched a couple clips recently of like the Pat Dixon and the Gino Visconti. Those shows are miles ahead, at least visually, of Cumia's own show. But, you know, clearly, again, there's a lot of employees and people over there, and no one's turned on. Everyone's asleep. It's a fucking playground. I said on a previous show, I think, that it's like a rat trap sprung a podcast studio inside it. It's just garbage. But at least it's like on and there and working, and I imagine profitable. I don't know. But Opie is like doing 5 minutes of content at a time to 40s to 50s of people where, you know, he can't even do more than 10 minutes. He can't do it. He's got his beer show. It's like 10 minutes long, right? It's like, what are you doing? Beer show? Again, I haven't watched an ep of it, but I know everyone's making fun of it. So, like, it's cringe, and the guy's rudderless. Like, he's got no plan. He just keeps trying weird different things, but they all suck, and it's just muddying up his brand. It's just diluting. No one takes Opie seriously anymore. Is he a winner? Does he have millions of dollars and a wife and a family and kids? I imagine. I don't think he's happy. Anthony, I imagine, is pretty happy. Opie is miserable. He's miserable. He's screaming at the fucking meteorites. You know what I mean? Like, he's just yelling into the wind. So this isn't about whether they're good guys. I don't even know what the fuck that means anymore. You know, like it's about like, what is he doing? I guess I'm biased because I work for him. I mean, what do you do? Because then fix it. Like, what you work for him, help. Look, I'm not against Opie and Anthony. I'd love the guy to do well. I'd love the guy to succeed. But like, is no one around him going like, hey, stop making videos on the beach where you yell about Anthony and Jim Norton? Like, you've been doing this for years, dude. Like, stop. Like, there's going to be a contingent of fans from that show and people who find him now who hate him, and he's got to be okay with that. He seems, and this goes back to the O&A days, he just seems really thin-skinned and really insecure. Really insecure. And it's easy to be insecure when you're the least funny person in the room every day, because fact of the matter is he was. He's miles less funny than Anthony. And then you had pro comics coming in every day that were funnier than almost all of them. Anthony's up there with those guys when it comes to radio. Between the voices and the improv skills, like Anthony's got the comedy chops, man. So I imagine that got to him, especially as a guy who started out independently. But, you know, you've got to be okay with your position, where you are, and other people having the limelight a little bit. I'm trying to add graphics, etc. Yeah, but you don't need to add graphics to the shit he's doing now. Stop like doing a thing and then like slowly making it better, because everyone's already tuned out because his brand is shit. So if you want to come up with something new or whatever, like come up with it, write it, shoot it, not with phones, not half-assed, not with no mics. It's like, you guys can't run out and buy some DJI mics? You can't go get some Rode wireless mics? It's like, this guy's a millionaire. You're shooting on phones, background noise. He's tapping the screen, you know, squinting. It's like, this is garbage. You think graphics in front of it are going to help? MLC is 4 guys who can barely operate StreamYard. They don't need graphics, and they're getting thousands of hits. Why? I don't know Shuley, but I bet he gets thousands of hits. All these guys use StreamYard. All their shows look the same. They don't need graphics, and they're getting hits. So you think putting graphics in front of Opie's beach streams is going to... That's the missing component? Get the fuck out of here. Oh, is that you who's putting the graphics before the thing now with the microphone too? It's like, again, I don't begrudge you for helping the guy. And look, the guy needs help. He's got to surround himself with some good people, some smart people, and some people who will stand up to him. But having that Opie Radio thing with the microphone that, by the way, looks like they copied Anthony's. Anthony's is so hack and generic. You know, it's like every podcaster thinks they have to have a microphone, headphones, a speaker, a waveform. Every podcaster, it's like, so Anthony's hack, and because Opie is also very hack, it looks like he copied Anthony's shit. I mean, it just does. Opie Radio. It's like, okay. So, I mean, you have to be honest with where you're at. It's like you're gift wrapping horseshit is what you're doing. It's like Opie's content is him popping on a stream for less than 10 minutes, screaming at the chat, and then going, I'm out of here. And it's like, all right. Yeah, I guess a splash screen at the beginning of that will make it desirable to people. No. He's never got anyone on. It's not a real show. He's never so much as bought a microphone. Why would we take him seriously? Why would we? And by the way, clip this and send it to him. I don't give a shit. I'm not like, again, and I know anyone who says anything bad about him gets put on his shit list and I'll never deal with them. And it's like, I'm not one of those guys. Again, don't confuse me with that shit. I like Opie and Anthony. I do honestly wish them the best. I understand Opie's part in that show. It's unfortunately that everyone else conflates it that they need to be equals. Like, oh, Anthony was way better than Opie. It's like, at what? The fact of the matter is, you could bring in a board engineer, board op, and Anthony could do a show by himself. Opie, it would be beer. It's like, okay. Only thing these graphics are missing is the big yelling mouth like crazy Joe. yeah. So it's not like I'm not trying to just rag on Opie and pick him apart like everybody does. I'm letting you know why it happens. Like, he's waving a flag on the side of the road saying pull over, and then when people pull over, there's nothing to pull over for. So when he just, you know what I'm trying to say. I'm not, the TACS show looks like dog shit. I saw a clip of Pat Dixon's show and I was like, oh my God, how does that look so much better? And it's in the same place. And then I saw a clip, I think of Gino's show, I'm not sure, where they had like some bright colored backgrounds and stuff. Again, the green screen is like, it's whatever. I think it's a bad move. I think it makes for a bad environment. It may look cool. You can make anything happen on screen. But it's like you don't need green screens anymore. Again, like, boom. And again, this isn't dialed in. This is just for any graphic I want to put behind me. If you wanted to dial this in for certain shows and certain sets, you could. You could really work on the chroma keying and make sure it's almost seamless, especially with a TriCaster and real equipment. I mean, this is a graphics card and a computer, and I can do better. But when you're in this actual room, it feels intimate, and the lighting isn't green screen lighting. That's all, 5400K and just in your face. But without a mic graphic, how will we know it's a podcast? Right. It's just like, it's like Aaron M. Holt's intro. It's like, oh, cool, a mic swinging out. And then it's like a condenser mic, too. It's not even what you would use for a podcast unless you're a fucking moron. Look. So you're saying it's a combination of good production and good talent? Yeah, I mean, there's a million guys who don't have good production and get a lot of views because they're entertaining. And there's a million guys who have no ability to entertain and have good production and get a lot of views. So there's no secret recipe. What I'm suggesting is Opie doesn't, I guess what I'm trying to say is Opie doesn't have it. Is that? Opie's trying to do something on his own. And this is the major, I think this is honestly the major problem. Maybe he has it, which is, maybe there is a universe and a timeline where Opie does a show alone, but I doubt it's about beer, and I doubt it's about ranting about Jim Norton, and I doubt it's about just hitting chats for 5 minutes. It seems like I don't know what's the guy into. Because it seems like he's just nothing. Like there's no personality. He's not into stuff. So like I would suggest do a hobby that is... Yeah, no, I know you're trying to start shit too, and I know I'm the one criticizing, so I'm the one who doesn't want to come off as, I don't want you to think I'm just shitting on Opie. Like, again, the fact is, the comedy show that was Opie and Anthony doesn't need Opie. It just doesn't, and especially in today's world. But now more than ever. So, like, removing Opie, it's the Nopey shows on YouTube prove it, right? You can literally take Opie out and it's almost indistinguishable. Whereas if you take Aaron out of a show and just play April, as my new video that I put up today that's a 2.5 hour show, and it's all of April, and it's like not even 15 minutes. She adds nothing. And by the way, that includes, seconds of her being silent, turning a bingo hopper to pull winners. Opie's known for Opie and Anthony. This was a shock jock, mean, top tier comedy program. Anthony gets fired, forks off, and starts a comedy radio network and brings in really like whether or not you like them, whether or not it's done shoddily, all that aside, he gets top-tier comedian guests. Maybe not as good as back in the O&A days every day, but he can still get those guys. They will still go in there. And Anthony can carry it, and it's still got that kind of vibe to it sometimes when it's hitting. Opie, on the other hand, he couldn't do that if he tried. He couldn't start a comedy show and comedy network if he tried. Like, I'm not shitting on the dude. He's not a comedian. He's not got comedy chops. He's got radio chops. And unfortunately, every one of his pre-existing fans was the fan of a comedy radio show. And the way he got lulls on that was acting insane and acting erratic. That's how he got laughs, because he couldn't be funny. So now, all of his followers and all of his fans, or ex-fans, expect comedy, because they're comedy fans. As much as those people followed Opie for Opie and Anthony. They followed it because they were fans of comedy, and that show was comedy. It also was gut-bustingly, uncomfortably, awkwardly real. The fights between the staff in studio, the fights between the guys, you know, when Opie and Anthony had a problem, they would fight on air for hours. And that honesty got through to people, really appreciated and saw that level of being genuine from real people. And I think it's palpable that Opie is insecure. The Greg Shells thing, this isn't made up. Like, he's an uncomfortable guy in his own skin. He's very self-doubting. He's very insecure. But he's still framing everything in the terms of that comedy show. So that's what I think the problem is. His fans are ill-matched to his skills and interests. The more he got into the family and the wife and the kids and stuff, he stopped doing the outrageous, mean comedy stuff. And these guys are all still into it. So how would this, when these two are together and one keeps doing the same thing and the other one branches off and is over here doing beach videos with resentment and anger and no entertainment value. He's not funny. Like, just isn't. He just isn't a natural funny guy. All the fans are disappointed, and all the fans are going to mock him, and all the fans are going to, because you had those fans. You taught them to do that. So that's Opie's problem. If he ever wants to have entertainment, an entertainment show, a radio show, be in the entertainment industry, he's got to find a new niche and build a new audience. He can't keep trying to get O&A listeners on his side because they're not. They're not on his side. They're not on his. Like, why would they be on his side? They like comedy. They don't like old men on the beach screaming about their dog. That's not what. So people go like, this sucks, because it does. Like, from their point of view, as a comedy radio program, what Opie's doing is garbage. At least Anthony's mimicking what O&A was. So I think that's the issue. And when they see him go to a beer show and not know anything about the beers, when they see him, and it's short and he doesn't really have anything to say, people go like, why am I watching this from this guy? There's a million shows about beer with guys who are into beer. So I think that's Opie's core problem, is he doesn't have a niche. What is the show? What is Opie's? What does he have to offer the world? And then once that's done, build a program around that idea, a professional one. Don't flip a camera on at a beach or walking down the street or walking up to a restaurant. Do a show, plan segments and blocks, and tape the show with real cameras and real mics, get good sound and good audio, and then market it to that audience. Stop going after his O&A people. This is my advice. I have an inkling that he doesn't have an idea or a hobby or a niche. He's just trying to stay in the zeitgeist of relevancy. But unfortunately, what that's doing is just brutally, brutally ruining who Greg Opie Hughes is and was. Imagine if he just walked away after the Jim and Sam thing. Like, how much better this would all be right now. But no, there's 7 years of videos of him screaming on a beach about Jim and Sam and Anthony. And it's like, cool, So that's Opie's problem. If you want my honest opinion, and he would do well to surround himself with people who would tell him that to his face and tell him to stay off the fucking internet until he has some reason to go on it. If he wants to go on Reddit and chat with fans all day, it's one thing. To make these videos screaming and then getting angry and shutting it off, it's like, yeah, you look like a fucking nut. You're literally leaving out breadcrumbs for your fans to make fun of. You taught them to do that to weak, insecure people. And now that you don't have your cavalcade of comedians around you, You know, you're a lone wolf out there without the skills to survive. You're a declawed cat on the internet, essentially. Yeah, you're getting eaten alive because you don't have the chops. He's rudderless. He might as well just be in a whirlpool of the internet. Just, you guys are all stupid. I used to be the best. It's like, what are you doing, man? He comes on for 45 minutes daily during the week and talks about politics every now and then. He goes back at fans who tell him he sucks. He points out that the other guys had issues too. He does try and move on and talk about a bunch of different stuff, but that's all I'll say. I don't want to keep harping. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not familiar with the show, so if he does 45 minutes every day, that's fine. Is it from his phone on the beach while he's distracted and I just have a feeling it's not. Look, if it's the same thing I tell Lex Las Vegas about his stupid videos here. It's like, you don't take it seriously. Why would we? You're not trying. This isn't a show. This is the longest TikTok in the world, and we can't swipe up. That's what Opie's videos are. It's like, he tries to leave it all behind, but then the chat gets him talking about it. It's like, again, his fans are O&A fans. He needs to figure out, if he's doing a political show, he needs to go do a political show. He needs to film it, not live, because he can't do live. He needs to be edited. He needs to have thoughts and be able to take breaks. He's a radio guy. So film a show with him. Don't let him go live. He's not good live. He's emotional, he's reactive, and he's insecure. So reading comments will get into his head and he'll act differently. He also can't not go after people and let them distract the conversation. So knock that shit off. He can't do live. He can't. The only reason he could do it in radio is because he couldn't see a chat room and they had, feedback. But again, he was surrounded by people who made the show good. Nobody was really sending in individual complaints about the people in the room. He has no content and he doesn't integrate feedback. I mean, not in a useful way. But he's also just too emotional to be, he can be swayed and trolled so easily. So you can't do it. I wake up the same time he goes live every morning. I get a good morning from him almost daily. I don't have the heart to troll Opie to get muted. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, you get fans like that who are like longing for this thing that once was, but it's like, Opie's never going to be that. Opie's never going to have a comedy show that you like. It's not going to happen. So political show, maybe, yeah. So if he's got those interests and he can talk about that stuff and has, interesting takes, I would look at doing that and setting up a political show, whether it's 15 minutes or 30 minutes, once a week. Start with once a week. Just try to do a show, a real show with cameras and microphones and lighting and a studio. And whatever the studio is, his house, whatever, make it look good. You've seen shows. They're not Opie on the beach. They're not Opie in his penthouse overlooking the thing. This is all like stuff to make him feel like he's a winner. It's like he's so needy. It's almost palpable. Opie can't do politics either. He went on a couple rants about gun control this week. He had no idea what he was saying. Yeah, I mean, then, I hesitate to say it. I just think the guy's got nothing. Before Anthony, the dude was like grabbing at straws, throwing shit at the wall to see what stuck, playing songs on Overnight. This guy never had a popular show on his own. So he's trying to do this revisionist history. Like, I've been a broadcast forever. I hired those guys. Like, you hired those guys because you were the guy in the building with the show. Believe me, that doesn't mean shit. I'm sorry I made this about Opie. Wasn't my intention to distract the show. Thanks for the advice. Yeah, I'm happy to. This is a member hang. We can talk about whatever. I know a lot of people are into Opie. And again, I wish the guy the best. None of the people I talk about or make fun of. Look, the fact is, Steel Toe's like grifting people. Like, he's fucking over either ignorant or stupid people, and it's on a mass scale daily. So, like, I don't feel bad. Like, I'm not fucking that guy over. He's breaking the law. He's taking advantage of people. He's a bad dude. That's a bad guy. He also happens to suck and be fun to make fun of and rib. And, and his wife, who's on the show, so also fair game. Opie, I have no, it's just sad. It's sad to watch. I've never really pulled him up and made fun of him here, I don't think. But, like, it's sad. It's sad because going away would be better than what he's doing. It's really sad. So I would really be honest about what can he do? What can he talk about? Because I have a feeling if I pull up one of his 45-minute shows, I'm just going to sink lower and lower into this chair. I generally think, though, what I said earlier is the biggest problem. He's trying to entertain an audience that is expecting A, and he can't deliver A. Opie cannot deliver a comedy show on par with Opie and Anthony from his mobile phone like Anthony Cumia can with his studio. So it's just not. Opie's trying to do this thing where he's got a show, but like, what is the show? And he's trying to do it to the audience that expects him to be Opie from the O&A show, 50% of a comedy duo. When the truth is he was never really 50% of a comedy duo, and it's hard to try to appease that audience when 90% of the show is gone. So he needs to find a new niche, a new audience, a new show, a new topic, a new world, and build up a fan base from there. And, if he has the chops and the talent and the know-how, then he'll be able to do it. And it's never been easier to build out a simple professional studio with some equipment. $5,000, this guy could have a setup that looks great, But will he do it, or is he just going to keep fucking around? I think it's like a fear of failure thing. He's got, if he were to do that, he's got to prove himself. He's got to do a show, and we're going to see how many listeners he gets. And that could be very embarrassing if it's not millions, because he's convinced himself and trying to convince everybody else that he's this wunderkind of radio, and it's just not a thing.